Hello, good morning, and a very warm welcome to everyone. My name is Els, and for those of you who join us for the first time for this oneness session, let me give you a little bit of a background. Several of us working for Onepoint Consulting or meditating on a regular basis. The meditation we practice is called Raja Yoga. It's the yoga of the mind. I personally feel that this is very beneficial, not only in the workplace, but also in my personal life. We started this project, Onepoint Oneness, I think this was May 2020. And the whole idea behind this was that we ourselves feel the benefit of the meditation. And we felt that why not to share this with a wider audience. So what we do every Friday, it's actually every fortnight now, we invite an experienced meditator and we ask him or her to share their thoughts about a particular topic, but also to guide us into a short meditation. So far, we have had more than 100 guest speakers, and these are people from all over the world. All the sessions have been recorded and they are available on YouTube. So today I'm very, very pleased to welcome Dorte, who joins us from Denmark. Dorte has been practicing and teaching Raja Yoga meditation for almost 20 years now. She works as a social worker in Aarhus in Denmark, and she helps and runs actually the meditation center in Aarhus. She's also a member of an international team organizing very regular retreats for an audience in Europe, but actually also globally. So she has a lot of organizing skills and she is a really great team player. And I'm very pleased that she can join us today. The topic she has chosen for today is shining the light of virtues in your life. So very, very warm welcome to you, Dorte.
Thank you so much, Els, for being invited to this great initiative and for being called a good team player. That's wonderful. So in the light of the topic for today, maybe I could contemplate which virtues that actually requires to be a good team player. So yeah, virtues. So when I first started practicing Raj Yoga meditations, one of the things that really struck me and made me very, very happy when I took the course in Raj Yoga meditation in 2005 was this idea that every human soul basically consists of peace, power, bliss, love, purity, all these beautiful, beautiful qualities. So I was being told, so please identify with this from now on. So that was kind of wonderful news. I felt, oh, that's wonderful, that I'll be very happy with myself if this is what I am. Peace, love, power. But obviously, as human beings, we do have other tendencies in ourselves. We have other patterns, other habits that are a bit the opposite way. So I would say virtues. So one thing I just mentioned are the qualities in us, like deep human qualities. But virtues, I would say, is more like, how do you then live those qualities? What does peace look like in action? What does love look like in action? And how do we counteract the other tendencies in us? So first thing I find really helpful to understand, and an attitude that is helpful to adopt, is to understand it in a neutral way. So I have these different tendencies in me. Some of them are helpful, constructive patterns in my personality traits, and other patterns in my personality are less helpful. They somehow obstruct my life of quality. They may obstruct harmony in my relationships. They may make me feel bad in different ways. So, okay, we have these kind of two sets of options that we can choose from, and to understand that it is definitely a question of choice. day by day, minute by minute, second by second, I can choose between the different things that are on the shelves, so to speak, in my personality. But of course, we also have to have a proper understanding of what is that choice really, because I think we have definitely all experienced assessing something with our intellect, with our common sense, saying, okay, the right thing, the proper thing to do in this type of situation would be to do like this, to act in this way. And then we go and do sort of the opposite. So why does that happen? That happens, of course, because of the force of habit, the power of habit. So when it comes to more destructive patterns, that kind of works against us. But on the other hand, it also works with us when it comes to our positive patterns, our positive tendencies and habits. So basically, habit is a positive thing in itself because it means we have to spend less energy in choosing whenever I just have the habit of being kind and tolerant or wise in different ways, or maybe positive skills, life skills of different sorts, or work skills. It's really good that it becomes routine and habit, and it can just come from my autopilot, because otherwise it would be tiring. But then when it comes to more negative patterns in my personality, I can counteract them basically by training the virtues in myself. So rather than focusing on, okay, I want to kill my ego basically, or I want to reduce my tendency of becoming upset or stressful. Yeah, but how do you do that? You train the opposite. You do kind of a spiritual rehabilitation. So virtues is about lived spirituality. These core qualities I mentioned in the beginning, they're in the soul, they're in the spirit. So how do I live them? So a good way to access it is to ask myself, what kind of virtues do I really, really love? What am I attracted to in other people? What am I attracted to when, for example, watching something on the internet or television? What is it that I'm attracted to in human behavior? Certain people I really like. What is it specifically that I enjoy about their personality and their company? What is it that I like in myself? So for me, one really powerful virtue is kindness. Kindness. I actually have had someone who's very creative, one of my friends. I have had her paint a beautiful sign saying kindness is king, and I keep it close by. Because if you decide for one virtue, even just do one virtue in your life to be king, to be the trump, to be the principle, it's not just, oh, it's nice to have kindness. No, you must have kindness. Of course, it will slip sometimes, but let's just leave that for now. But that it's so important to me, it's such a critical value to me that it brings along automatically all sorts of other virtues, actually. Because what does it look like to be kind? Loving kindness, what does it look like? It definitely requires respect. It requires humility. It requires even that I check my thinking, that my thinking isn't unkind. And that definitely also goes towards myself, that I keep kind thinking. So that would also involve not assuming a lot of things about people, not having many judgmental thoughts about other people, and including myself, being tolerant, basically, kind, open-minded. So this is something we can practice. And the thing is, it really becomes a joy to have that focus in daily life. It becomes a joy rather than a pain having to try to manage some negative patterns. They are automatically counteracted by my focus on this virtue. So in practical life, if I focus on kindness, respect, open-heartedness, then there will be lots of situations where I simply have to let go of my ego. You know, ego understood in a destructive way, like seeing things in a particular way, and I want things in a particular way, and it has to be my way. Ego as a source of being easily insulted, easily upset. And I definitely have that in me, and I can be quite arrogant actually if I'm not careful. But I even stopped judging myself for that and just accepting, okay, this is part of my personality. I really want to minimize it as much as possible. So another virtue could be being peaceful, for an example. So what does that look like? It includes moving peacefully, speaking peacefully, breathing peacefully. So for an example, if I have a tendency to become a little too, you say, erratic, or like I'm a little bit manic, and it maybe leads to stress for myself, maybe also a little bit of a stressful atmosphere for others. We infect each other a lot. So let me really try to act peacefully, calmly, even just by managing my moving around in daily life, actually slowing down our body, our speech, all of that works internally as well. Basically, anything that keeps us aware helps a lot. So being aware in daily life, not being on autopilot all the time, because that's when the mistakes happen. So it's also another way to look at it is that it's a question of balance in my personality. So I have different skills and personality traits, and sometimes they in themselves are good things, but sometimes they're just a little too much. So for an example, I'm very effective, efficient, I'm quick with many things, certain types of things. So, well, that's very good. I can be fast and efficient, all of that. But, you know, sometimes I'm just a little bit too fast. Mistakes happen, or kindness gets lost, or I become a little impatient with others who take a little more time to reach at the destination, if we have a discussion or something like that. Or if we're in a teamwork and others a little bit more slow. So I'm very aware that I have to balance this. I don't have to remove being quick or being efficient, but I definitely have to balance it with sometimes just being a little slower, just pacing myself, and definitely also keeping that virtue of kindness and tolerance and humility in my mind as well. So for others, of course, it may be the opposite: procrastination, taking a little too much time. Okay, then I have to maybe push myself a little bit more. Another example could be that I'm very outgoing, sociable, very good at getting friends, connecting with other people. Very good skill. I mean, why would I get rid of that? But maybe I'm a little too extroverted. Maybe I'm almost incapable of just enjoying my own company. Maybe I take up just a little too much space in the room sometimes. Okay, fine. Let me just practice assessing the situation, using my judgment power, and just seeing, okay, maybe is this the kind of situation where I don't have to say anything? I can just pretend as if I'm not here. I don't have to give my opinion in every situation. Let me just be a little more relaxed. And the opposite, if you're a bit of a wallflower, you're a little too withdrawn, little too introverted, little too shy, okay, then you have to push yourself to come out of the wall, so to speak. So basically balancing myself just all along, as a point of departure, loving myself as I am, being neutral about the whole thing, but just saying, okay, what is basically needed here for life to be balanced? And another approach in that is taking a cue from circumstances. I would say the circumstances we're looking at and approaching in our material circumstances in the world right now, things happening, for an example, in Denmark that would never have happened before. It's the climate, it's the finances, it's maybe we will have to shut down electricity altogether for a few hours all of a sudden during the winter, things we're really not used to here. So either I bend or I break in such situations. Maybe not for shutting down electricity for a couple of hours, but other circumstances where I really need inner strength. So let me upfront adapt whatever virtue is needed. So I would say, for an example, what is time calling for right now? Definitely frugality, simplicity of life. Before I maybe am forced to lose something of my material comfort, let me experiment happily with letting go of what is not really necessary. Let me do it of my own accord, not being forced by circumstances, just looking at the signs around me. And this act in itself, being proactive like this, doing it from inside and out, that in itself brings more spiritual power, I would say. It strengthens my core, basically. And that again, of course, helps eliminate fear, because I can see, yes, I can deal with things. I can go through things without losing peace, happiness. Okay, so before we meditate a little bit, just one last thing that we would need for this to actually work, to practice, first of all, or develop the habit of observing ourselves. And so in order to cut off the autopilot in our brains, we have to observe our own reactions inside and watch, observe, choose between my options, as I mentioned before. And a regular meditation practice actually is something that helps this a lot. There's been studies that was actually with mindfulness meditation, just with 20 minutes every day for a couple of months, parts of the brain actually grew bigger. And they were, amongst other things, the parts that have to do with exactly that, observing my own reactions inside and choosing between them, never acting in a reactive way, not acting on the basis of fear or anger or upset. Fine, I can contain the feelings. I don't mind the feelings, actually. That's also something we can train, to tolerate our own feelings much better. And then, okay, how do I act in this situation? So the meditation I would like to guide us into is actually a visualization exercise. Because when it comes to practicing virtue, we can trick our brain. We can do it in a very safe space in a visualization exercise where we see ourselves doing what we would like to do in a future situation. So the brain actually doesn't discriminate whether something is going on in real life or just in my brain. It doesn't care. And our subconscious works very powerfully with inner images, just visualizing, okay, how do I want this to be in the future? So if we do this a bit on a regular basis also, we can actually train certain things in our personality up front so that it becomes easier when I'm in a real life situation where, of course, there's more at stake. So we'll just do that. So first of all, let me just sit relaxed. But alert. I may have my eyes open or closed. Personally, I prefer to keep them open, my eyes, because it makes me more awake, basically. So let me just withdraw a little bit from my physical senses. Turn my awareness inward. I just check that my breathing is peaceful. I check that my muscles are fairly relaxed. And I imagine just diving into my own consciousness. I'm now going to work on my brain. I'm going to work in my inner laboratory. My inner garden. So let me just imagine going through the day, the rest of the day today, in a peaceful and loving manner. What would that look like? So I imagine myself moving very peacefully, doing just one thing at a time, being careful that I don't rush anything. So I'm mindful throughout my actions and interactions during the day. And what does my face look like? It would be smiling, relaxed. My eyes would be smiling. Whenever I meet someone or relate to another person, I would be keeping my full attention on them whilst we interact with each other. I would meet them with warmth. I would listen properly to them. And I just visualize all of this as if it was a movie inside, as concretely as possible. So what specific situations will I be facing today? Work-wise or otherwise? What relationships will I encounter? And let me just make a very detailed movie of myself being a hero in all of these scenes. A spiritual hero, bringing comfort, positivity, peace into every situation. What exactly does that look like? What does it look and feel like when I am at my best? So we can experiment with this, maybe normally using a little more time than we did now. And you can try to do it maybe even every day for a while. Focus on a particular virtue that you would like to enhance. And you can maybe focus on specific situations where it's needed. So for an example, it could be meetings where you want to be listening more. So you could specifically visualize that every evening before going to bed, how the situation turns out perfectly. Okay, so I think that's all from me. So thank you so much for listening. I'm going to hand the microphone back to Els.
Thank you so much, Dorte. It was a really beautiful meditation commentary. Mindfulness is so important in life, and you walked us through an exercise which we can all do in the evening during the day. And I especially like how you're actually looking at today, how can I go to the day being very mindful of everything. So very beautiful, very helpful. But also I like very much how you explained about the virtuous, and I've written down kindness is king, but it could be something else that I really practice, I train, and then I'm sure it will have such an impact on my own life in a positive way, but also on the life of others. So really nice. And also the fact that habits are okay. If they're good habits, fine. But if they become negative, I really have to pay attention and make sure that they don't become a deep pattern in my life, because it will be very difficult to change them then. So thank you so much, Dorte. And also a big thank you to the technical team supporting us in the background. The next session is going to be on the 14th of October, again a Friday, 9 a.m. UK time. And we will have Patricia from Brazil joining us for this session. So thank you all. I hope you have enjoyed it and have a very nice day. Bye-bye.